Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. Please welcome to the stage from Petersham RSL, Mr. Warren Burr.
Thank you and good afternoon. Let me begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to the elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. The Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia, distinguished guests and friends and colleagues with us today. On behalf of my fellow board members and the management and staff of Petersham RSL, I welcome you to the official opening of our brand new club. I don't mind telling you, we're very proud and excited about this new chapter in the long life of Petersham RSL. This brand new premises has been a long while in the pipeline and hasn't come to fruition without more than a fair share of problems along the way. But with the tenacity and dedication to the task of a number of key people involved in the project, thankfully, here we are today. One of those key people is the CEO of Petersham RSL, Mr. Danny Fitzgerald. Danny.
Thank you, Warren. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for making time in his busy schedule to be with us this afternoon. A little about the club's history. In 1917, a citizens' committee was formed to raise funds for the establishment of a permanent memorial to the people of the district who served in the First World War. Major General C.H. Brand, on November 8, 1924, laid the foundation stone of the Soldiers' Memorial, the old clubhouse in New Canterbury Road. The club obtained a liquor licence on the 7th of April 1955. In 1961, Petersham RSL moved into its new premises in Regent Street. State RSL President Sir William Yeo opened the new building on June 24 of that year. The club remained in Regent Street until we moved recently to this magnificent new venue. I wish to pay tribute to the late Stephen Norden of Norden Jago Architects, who designed the building. I thank the many individuals and organisations involved in the development, design and construction of the club. In particular, I thank Fuad Deary, Greg Colbram and David Maynard from Daycorp. I also thank Darren Hose and his team from Red Design Group, who are responsible for the interior design of the club. I'm sure you will agree the Board of Petersham RSL have delivered a great community asset to us. I now invite our development partner, Fuad Deary, to the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister, Joe Halen, distinguished guests, friends and families, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. This truly is a momentous occasion for all of us. This has been 8 years in the making. This journey started 8 years ago. And when the opportunity came up to be involved in the Petersham RSL, to be involved in a project that's a community-based project, I could not help but jump at the opportunity. For those that know, Daycorp actually started right here in the heart of Petersham. For 10 years, we had our office down the road at New Canterbury Road. Our very first project was in Albert Street, Newtown, hence the colours of the Daycorp from Newtown Jets. So when the board put out an opportunity to redevelop the Petersham RSL, we met with Danny and the board, and it was a real honour for us to be involved. But a project like this doesn't happen lightly, and the amount of people who are involved in putting something like this together is enormous. From those that Danny said, from here at Daycorp, from all our designers, all our marketing people, all our planners, and to the late Steve Norton, may God rest his soul, to everyone that was involved. I can't thank them enough. Without them, it wouldn't have happened. I also want to thank our financiers who, over the last 2 years, as you know, it's been quite difficult with everything going on with COVID and the pandemic, who have really stood by our sides, from all our financiers. And in particular, I'd like to say a special thank you to the financiers of this project, from Andrew Lockhart, Andrew Tremaine and Lee, who are here today from Metrics. As we all know, in March 2020, when COVID landed on our shores and the whole world was imploding, to put a $130 million debt facility in the middle of a pandemic without one apartment sold was a very big ask. But Andrew said to me, he said, "Fuad, you get on with it." Because he believed in the project, he believed in the board, he believed in Daycorp, and we delivered. So to everyone involved, and if I've left anyone out, I don't want to name anyone individually, but you all know who you are. There were so many people involved in this project who have gotten to where it is today, because I can't do it on my own, and I didn't do it on my own. So to each and every one of you, thank you very much. And to our Prime Minister, who we all love so much, to take time out of your busy schedule to be here means so much to us. So thank you again. And a big thank you also to Danny Fitzgerald, to Barry, and to all the board at Petersham RSL. When we first met many years ago, we started off not knowing what the outcome was, and 8 years later, not only have we delivered a great community project, but we've also become great friends along the way. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Fuad. Another of those people instrumental in assisting the club's development is our club president, Mr. Barry Cotter. Barry?
Prime Minister Albo, who would have thought I would be uttering those words today? And there's been a few beers go under into the lips in the intervening years, but Anthony, thank you so much for being here with our community on such an important day. Joe Halen, member for Summer Hill, Zoe and Chloe, who are from Inner West Council, who were the approval authority for this, thank you for being here. My wife Dee, thank her for being here, and all you special guests. And I want to say a very special hello to Mick Mundine, a pillar of the Aboriginal community who's here today, and a great friend of many people, like Anthony, a Mad Rabbit supporter, and who's looking forward to yet another premiership this year, unlikely as it might seem to most other people. And I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank Fuad and the entire team that worked on this. You're a disparate bunch of people here today. We were limited in numbers, and so there were some people who missed out, some people who got here. You're the lucky ones, you got here. And so thank you all for coming. We on the board are highly appreciative of the opportunity we've been given by this project. And I thank the board, past and present, for their foresight in going down the path of making this happen. I think it's important for a number of things, not the least of which, by getting an income stream from the residential apartments we end up out of this, it gives us an alternative to poker machines. It gives us an income stream that gives us a future, no matter what shape the world might take. And that really is the foresight of our CEO, Danny Fitzgerald, who has driven this project for many, many years and deserves an enormous amount of congratulations. But what this project is about to me is that this will be a community hub. This will be a place that we want to turn into your local. Instead of going to the pub, we want you to come to the RSL, have a beer, have a meal, catch up with your friends, and do the things you do as families and friends every day. And we want you to do it here, and we want you to do it for a long time, because we need to engage the community. The future of clubs, and more importantly, the future of the RSL, is driven not by grey hairs like me, but by younger people who are our future. And unless we provide facilities that are relevant to them, that give them a reason to go there, you can't hope to keep alive that whole thing. And that's why this club's so important. And we've got a lot of sub-branch members here tonight, and I welcome them. They're the people who served and regrettably declining in numbers. And we need to get another generation involved. And I think something like this will do that. So it's something to be proud of, it's something to enjoy. Have a beer, have a glass of wine, have a water if that's your want. Although I don't understand why you'd want to drink too much water. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And more importantly, I'm proud on behalf of our community, our members, that our Prime Minister is here and he'll be speaking soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. As the member for Grayndler, Anthony Albanese has had a long and friendly relationship with Petersham over many years, and he's often visited the club in an official capacity. I recall a couple of years ago, actually, though, when, as the federal opposition leader, Mr Albanese was visiting the club as a special guest on Anzac Day. He got to the front desk and, not recognising him, the young receptionist politely asked, "Are you a member, sir?" And the response was, "I am the member." Well, he was allowed in, and I'm pleased to report he got past reception today without any challenge at all. And we're absolutely delighted he's able to be with us today as we celebrate this milestone in our club's history. Please welcome Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
Well, thank you very much. I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and on behalf of the government that I lead, recommit to the implementation of the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full. Can I also acknowledge Danny Fitzgerald, the Secretary of the club, Barry Cotter, the President of the club, other board members who are here, Fuad, for his contribution in realising the vision that the Petersham RSL board and sub-branch members have had for this club, and other community members who are here today, particularly my good friend Joe Halen, the member for Summer Hill, and also Zoe Sardulius and Chloe Smith, Inner West councillors. It is such a great day to be able to be here. I very consciously wanted the first plaque as Prime Minister to be here in the Inner West in my electorate of Grayndler. And I have a long association with this club. I've had many an evening here, including in 2019, where I had my election night victory as a local member here, and that's where my journey to the Prime Ministership began on that evening. I think that RSLs play a particularly important role. They're not just any club. And you might have noticed that on election night this time round, I couldn't come to Petersham RSL because it wasn't open. So we went to Canterbury Helston Park RSL as well. You have probably noticed over the years that election night parties from party leaders are held in CBD hotels in capital cities. I wanted to make sure that I was with my local community and that I was also paying respect to veterans and the men and women of the Australian Defence Force by holding it in an RSL. Because RSLs are a centrepiece of saying thank you for those who put their lives on the line to defend our freedom and defend our nation. In today's uncertain world, I'm very conscious of the strategic competition that's occurring in our region. I visited Kyiv recently. Some on the opposition criticised that for me not ringing home as if it was a holiday and likened it to someone else going to Hawaii. I assure you it is not a holiday spot. It is a brutal war, which is a land war in Europe. It is something that we didn't expect to be talking about in the 21st century. And that's why the struggle of the people of Ukraine is a struggle for the international rule of law and for all of us who value democracy, all of us who respect national sovereignty and borders. And that is why I travelled to Kyiv in solidarity with President Zelensky and the struggle of the Ukrainian people at this time. Of course, Australians historically have fought for freedom, not just our freedom, but freedom right around the world. And I was very conscious in travelling into Kyiv, where at a time where the risk was raised, the assessment in the week before I travelled, with people from Special Forces there to protect me as the Prime Minister of Australia. It's something I was very conscious of when someone, a young man, says that his job is, without going into all of the detail, to do whatever is necessary to protect me. And that hasn't happened to me before. And it really hit home the solemn commitment that people have who enlist, and the risks that they take, the sacrifice that they take on behalf of all of us. And as Prime Minister, I'm very conscious that we make decisions from time to time in politics about men and women and what they will do on our behalf, and what we have as an obligation, therefore, as political leaders, to protect them and defend them and look after them when they return home. And that's an obligation that political leaders have, but it's also an obligation that communities have. And one of the things that the RSL movement represents is the community stepping forward to say, we will look after our veterans, we will provide a place for them to come to see as their home. And this facility here will be so important going forward, because it provides, as Barry says, a sustainable model going forward, an income stream, a revitalised, new, vibrant, dynamic club that will service the entire community and will remind people who haven't served or won't serve in that way of the obligation that we have. So I think it is very important going forward as well. Can I also say that RSLs play a role in a broader sense in our community. I know that Petersham RSL played a really important role in getting people vaccinated during the COVID pandemic as well, and I thank the board members for their leadership here. I look forward to coming back here many times in the future. The Inner West remains my home, even if I've got a couple of handy public housing joints that are a bit better than the public housing joint where I grew up down the road in Camperdown, even though I love it. But the other thing that strikes me about this club, and when I was coming in here, I saw Scott Justo, who appeared on Channel 7 on the day of the first swearing in of my government just last Tuesday. I was at the Australian War Memorial on the Monday night for the commemoration that happens the day before a new parliament commences, and I got this text message from Scott's other half. I think we can all agree better half, Cherie Justo, who I grew up with along with Scott in Camperdown. And 8 of my friends who I grew up with there in council housing had travelled without telling me to Canberra for the opening of Parliament. And there they attended the next day. They came from Perth, Clayton Gunnings, now a Wharfie. There was another couple came from Melbourne, came from around. None of them now live in Camperdown. So I came in here. Scott's mum, Mrs. Justo, as I know her, I don't think I ever learnt her first name. We were very respectful. The thing about working class people is they're respectful. And growing up, and she gave me a hug as I came in here. And it was a real reminder, when I was growing up, my mum used to get on the bus, the 412, there at corner of Parramatta Road and Mizzen Road, and come here because you could get a meal. You get a meal and a drink, a soft drink. My mum didn't drink, for $2. For $2. You could do that. You could meet up with friends. This was for her the big outing. Once a fortnight after the pension check came in, meeting her friends. That's the role that a club can play. It's a part of the community. It's not like a for-profit establishment. Every single dollar that is made here goes back into the community. That's why I am an unashamed supporter, an unrelenting supporter of the club's movement. And that is why it's important that a club like this not only survive, but thrive into the future. I'm very confident that it will continue to contribute, sponsoring local rugby league or cricket, local sporting teams, that it will be a centre of gathering, and I'm very proud to have been here to open it as the 31st Prime Minister of Australia today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your generous amount of time, and we'd like you to continue to enjoy our hospitality. We hope you'll come and see us again soon. Thank you.
Drinks are on elbow.